Hello, everybody. We are live.
Rebuild of the favorites. We here for the latest. South side or the north side. Not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball. But we don't put the wrong strings. Yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or Gantes or the whole league that we hear now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Trade rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Knife.
What's going on, everybody? We are live here. We're just doing the retweet thing. And then we will be ready to go here in a minute. All right, Fidds, you ready?
One last thing. That sounds terrible. Let me write one last thing. One last thing.
Hello, everybody. Looks like the chat has been anxious for the show to start. I like it.
Hold on. Let me make sure I spelled Juliana Zobrist correctly. All right, cool.
Holy shit. All right. I don't think anyone would call you out on that. All right. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, June 25th, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Zwaski, a.k.a. Father Zo, a.k.a. Southside Zo. And with me, as always, is the good Reverend KFidds. What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, I'd like to announce that I'm going to be going on tour real soon. I just got an invite, so I'm going on tour now as Juliana Zobrist's backdoor singer. I'm really excited. I've got a really great, singing voice, and so I'll be joining her on tour as her backdoor singer.
She might be a little strapped for cash soon, but we have a lot to go over. I threw out a bat signal asking fans for more out there trade ideas for the White Sox for the upcoming trade deadline. And I asked for the White Sox, and it turns out a lot of people just want to make trades with the Cubs, which, okay. So we got a lot of stuff. Some of these are wild. Some of them are very creative. Some of them are
what you would consider to be crack smoking concept.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah. So me and Fidds are going to go through all that. I know you guys are noticing there is Mr. Aldo Soto is not with us tonight. He
was traded ahead of the deadline.
Well, actually, no, we didn't trade him yet. We got him on the bench because we don't want him to get hurt.
He wasn't running out.
Yeah,
eyeballs. He didn't know how many outs there were.
He didn't know how many outs there were. We're accepting offers, so we don't want him to get hurt in the meantime. So he's on the bench for right now. We're going to talk about the week that was in Cubs and Sox baseball, and like most shows, we'll probably just go off the rails. So all that and a lot more. Let's tap this cape. As always, the show is brought to you by PointsBet. Make sure you're using promo code PINWHEELS on PointsBet to get your initial dollar match. And the show is brought to you by us. So make sure you go and support the show. We have the pin linked on at Pinwheels and Ivy Pod on Twitter, as well as our full merch line. Go get yourself t-shirt, onesie, mug, whatever you want to do. And also,
the Chap line is coming out too, so be ready.
What? Oh, yes.
Really?
And also, I told everybody, if you guys got something going on, or if I see something cool going on in Chicago, especially if it's something local, I will rock your shirt on the show. You can either just send it to me or I will buy it. I don't care if it's cool. So this week's shirt is the Summer of 54 shirt. It's really, really dope. It's brought to you by a lot of really good people on Twitter. It is to support a beer that is coming up right now. You can get the Southside version, which I have right now, or the Northside version, which is cool. It's blue with the red, says Summer 54. I put a link out, Haymarket Brewing. I put a link out with the link to go and read about the shirt, the background, as well as make your purchase. the whole like concept of everything, it's really cool. It's about, you know, Ernie Banks and Minnie Minnesota. You
Manny,
know,
Manny
Minnie,
Minogue.
yeah.
Me,
But
me. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
more importantly, support local brewers, support local business, support people in Chicago that are just doing cool shit. Again, I will tweet out the link again, but I tweeted out earlier. Click on the link, go buy yourself a t-shirt, and I believe the beer is coming out soon, July 13th at Haymarket Pub and Brewery. But yeah, go get yourself a shirt. All right, let's just get right into the trades, dude. Or do you want to do what happened last week? Because the White Sox recap is real quick.
Let's do the weekend review real quick, and then we can fix
All right.
everything after the week is over. We can just fix the world, really.
Okay, that works. So the White Sox got donkey punched pretty much all week until Wednesday. They went into Houston, got smoked for 4 games by, I mean, there's no team hotter than the Houston Astros right now. They're not just winning. I think they're 10 games in a row right now, but they're destroying teams. Like their run differential in the last 10 games is like plus 60 something. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's 81 to 21 in the run differential. They're in first place now. Yeah, I mean, they're 10-0 in their last 10 games, and they handily beat the White Sox. And I don't want to like focus too much on it. You're not going to win every series. You're not going to, it's a 162 game season. The one thing though, with this series in Houston, and I tweeted out, basically it was like the lights went on at 2:00 in the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking to someone for a long time and they turn on the house lights and oh shit.
Marla Hooch, what a hitter.
Yeah. She's got an eye like DiMaggio.
It's only one eye though. Which is
the Houston Astros turned on the house lights on the White Sox. I mean, you can start at the top. Errors have been a huge thing for this team all season long. I believe they're either top or top 3 in the league right now. And let's get set. We're all about facts. Facts on the show.
Alex even here to tell us that we're wrong. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is, which is good. We need that. I can't sort by errors right now. But yeah.
Well, that's a mistake.
Right. But tons of errors left and right. We even saw it leak into the Pittsburgh game. Mm-hmm. Pitchers are committing errors. Position players are committing errors. The errors need to get tightened up. And again, on a team ran by a Hall of Famer guy that's known for running a pretty tight ship, this is something that I think would have been ironed out. But again, Tony's not out there fielding the balls for these guys. So, like, you can't really put it all on him, but they definitely need some pitchers fielding position, some PFPs in the off days here a little bit. The other things were guys that are good bench players starting. Again, I think you need guys, like Goodwin and Mendick and Larry Garcia on your team, but you don't want them as your starters. And no one was really hitting. I'd like to preference it with that. But like once you got into the bottom 3 or 4 in the White Sox lineup, it was like, go get a beer, go take a piss. Nothing's going to happen here. You know what I mean? It was just like, whatever. And then you sprinkle on top of that Yerman Mercedes couldn't hit the fucking ocean with a fucking, I don't know, a missile right now. Like the dude is just not doing well. It wasn't good. And I mean, the bullpen got touched up. A lot of things were exposed. Again, like I said, they turned on the 2 a.m. lights and it was bad. So they got a day off and then they went to Pittsburgh. You would think Pirates kind of suck this year. That should be an easy 2 games. The offense didn't show up to the first game on Tuesday, except for Grandal, who had a 3-run homer. But then Garrett Crochet had arguably his worst outing in the major leagues. And, of course, right afterwards, everyone wanted to trade him, which is fucking so weird to me.
Trade everybody or send them down if they have a bad day.
Right. He had one bad day. And the Sox lost to Pittsburgh, which that one just stings because, again, Pirates, no one's scared of the Pirates. And then they kind of put it together. Wasn't the cleanest win in the world, but they got a win. They ended the skid on Wednesday. Those games are done. They're behind us. And like our friend Yumper says in the comments, the Cubs had a 14-16 June in 26 when they won it all in 2016. No one ever really goes wire to wire in Major League Baseball. 162 game season. That's insane. If you think someone's going to go wire to wire, and then so even with all that shit though, the White Sox still remain 2.5 games in first place. They had an off day on Thursday, which sounds like it was well needed. You know, let these guys rest up a little bit. Especially now you got Adam Engel back on the 10-day IL with the hamstring. Yeah, White Sox versus hamstring, it might be the biggest rivalry in the history of sports. But then now the White Sox come back to the South Side, and the big story with the White Sox coming back to the South Side is full capacity. But not only are the boys coming home, they're coming home with a first place team. I mean, flaws and all, first place team to play in a 7-game homestand where they're playing the Mariners, who are playing better baseball lately. Yeah, it's a good point, Alex. It is truly the entire Major League Baseball versus everybody's hamstrings are just popping. If I was a doctor right now, I'd change my practice to just Dr. Zo hamstrings and market myself to the MLB.
I'll be honest, that sounds like a really rad band name.
Actually, yeah, we're going to make a mental note of that one.
Others those hamstrings. I mean, yeah. I would go see them.
So we got weather permitting. I know nobody wants to hear that shit, but we have a full capacity, fired up White Sox crowd back on the South Side, tailgating. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be awesome. But they got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday versus Seattle. Again, Seattle playing a little bit better baseball than they were. Still not good. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we got the Twins, who suck. But watch them play lights out baseball because it's the White Sox. But the big thing is it's full capacity. My message to you, if you're listening to this, watching this, whatever, if you're going to go to these games, get it loud. Show the boys some love. Show the boys how much we appreciate the first place team, even though the injuries are ridiculous. Even though you might not have agreed with every move that they made so far. At the end of the day, they're still in first place. And there's a stat that came out, top 5 teams that the lost WAR metric from their IL. Number 1 is actually the Mets, 8.69 WAR loss. But number 2 is the White Sox at 8.67. And then there's a pretty big gap to number 3, which is Houston at 5.57, then the Twins at 5.08. But I'm just saying, like, even through all that shit, White Sox are still in first place. So, yeah, be louder than Fidds was on June 4th. Ooh. Be loud. But the other thing I also beg of you, and I know no one watching the show or listening to the show, whatever, just if you're going to fight, do it in the parking lot. Do it somewhere where there isn't TV cameras so we don't look like a bunch of raging hillbillies. But it's going to be a good time, man. Have fun, tailgate, have a blast. I think the boys at Sox and 35th and White Sox Dave and all those guys are going to be and the 108 guys are all going to be tailgating in Lot B. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun. And, like, yeah, just have a blast, light it up, get loud. It'll be fun. And, I mean, I think
Is that the excuse we're going to use?
I think, well, no. I think he's being sarcastic here. I hope he is. Mr. Hank, he commented it won't be full because so many fans said they will never go to a game until Tony's gone. I feel like that's a lot of people that are like, if Trump gets elected, I'm moving to Canada. You know what I mean? Like, it's just empty.
You ask them 6 months later why they didn't move. They go, sorry.
Yeah. But it's just like, I think that's just more people just trying to make a point, whatever, but fill it up, get loud, and just I think the White Sox just need to try to right the ship again. I think it's crazy what one off day can do for a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just they got out of Pittsburgh. The game on Wednesday was a super early game. It was like 11:30 Central Time. So the game was over in the afternoon. Travel home, have a nice meal at home with your family, relax, and then have a nice off day on Thursday. Get back to business on Friday. I mean, I got to imagine that does a lot for your psyche.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know? So
and I mean, almost with that early start, you're almost getting almost a 2-day off, especially for guys that were rested that day or that just only had to pinch hit. You know what I mean?
He went all lefty lineup too.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody that was a righty basically got to chill on Wednesday.
That's a good thing. You know, and a couple things you said, you know, like you talked about the defense not being sharp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going into a series with Pittsburgh, for God's sakes. You know, that one you can 100% lay on the feet of the coaching staff not getting their guys ready, not making sure they're ready. I'll tell you right now, that team didn't show up ready to play in game 1 of that Pittsburgh series, and that's 100% on Tony La Russa and his coaching staff for not having them ready for that ball game. You have to beat the bad teams. You cannot not show up.
Right.
And they didn't show up, and the defense was all over the place. And that is 100% a group that showed in thinking that Pittsburgh was just going to lay down for them. They just played the Dodgers tough last week. I mean, they're a pest. I mean, they can be really bad. Don't let the Javi Baez first base thing and some of the other things that they've done on tape, you know, fool you. They've put together complete games this season. And the White Sox, I think they assume that the Pirates are just going to roll over for them as well, and that ain't going to happen. And so they got hit in the mouth in the first game. Yep. They were fine in the second game. They got, you know, it was a little tighter, but that's bad teams. You know, really good teams elevate their play no matter who they're playing. Right. Mediocre teams, average teams sometimes drop down to the level. Really good teams sometimes have to learn how to not drop their level of play based on who their opponent is. Mm-hmm. But I think in this case, the White Sox kind of just rolled in there and played at the Pittsburgh level instead of to go in there and just roll.
And you're absolutely right. Pittsburgh's got some players on their squad. Like we're going to talk about trades and whatever later, and we're going to get a little bit goofy with these trades later. But in reality, like Reynolds, Frazier, Rodriguez, like Pittsburgh has guys that teams want. You know what I mean? So like they got some players on that squad. And Dylan Cease's error, which should have been a double play that led to the tying run, that's the PFPs that we were talking about earlier. And then on the flip side of town, since our last break, the Cubs dropped 2 out of 3 to the Marlins and then split with Cleveland. You guys couldn't beat Cleveland twice?
Hey, you guys couldn't beat Pittsburgh twice? We need to gain some ground on them, too.
No, you don't. Stop it. Pittsburgh's in last place.
Help us. Did you guys play the Cardinals or the Brewers yet? I can't remember. No, you
guys we beat the Cardinals.
That's right. Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, what's going on with the Cubs?
You know, it's been one of those. We've talked about this on the show. I mean, ad nauseum heading into June, and now that we're into the latter portions of June, that this June is the most difficult month on the Cubs schedule that they're going to face. You know, they opened with Padres at San Francisco, at San Diego, at home versus the Cardinals, at New York. They were supposed to have a little bit of a break with the Marlins. They lost 2 of 3. And then, again, Indians. And then they're now going to L.A. And then immediately from L.A. on Sunday, right to Milwaukee for another night game. So they're going to play the night game in the evening game in L.A. And then they're going to fly all the way to Milwaukee to play another night game literally the next day. They don't have a day off. Yep. So their last day off was yesterday. They're playing tonight against the Dodgers on the road. Really, they're literally going to L.A. for 4 days and back. Like the scheduling is brutal too. They've gone to the West Coast twice this month, back and forth, and then to the East Coast to New York and back.
That's really weird.
And so it's a grinding schedule. We've talked about it. If the Cubs can still be in the hunt at the end of June, they are legitimately a contender to survive.
At the time of this broadcast, the Cubs are a half game back from Milwaukee in the Central.
Correct. And yesterday was Milwaukee beat the Diamondbacks 3-2 because the Diamondbacks had the ball at second base, and I can't remember what's his name. Was the first baseman, third baseman for the Brewers, like tweaked his knee and couldn't even walk and was hobbling home on 1 foot from third, and instead of throwing to the plate and just tagging the guy out because he'd been dead by Diamondbacks held on to the baseball and let that run score, and then
also
lost the Cubs. Then
counterpoint, the Diamondbacks are a fucking dog shit baseball team.
This is true as well.
Proceed.
But yeah, Vogelbach. It was Vogelbach, right? It was a horrible thing to see. But anyway, so the Cubs, I mean, it's been hit or miss. I mean, they took, they had them. You know, we had the last Thursday night they won while we were actually live. Beat the Mets 2-0. But the problematic issue is the run scoring. They lost to the Marlins. They win 2-0 on Thursday. They get blasted on a Friday night in front of a packed full house, capacity sold out crowd, 10-2. They lose on Saturday afternoon in a nice matinee, 11-1 to the Marlins. So they got outscored in the first 2 games of that series, 21-3. Jake Arrieta has proved that the magic is gone. The Church of Jake has been canceled. No more tax write-off. No more tax deductions. I am now a Church of Jake atheist. He's done. Throw him on the trash heap with Sogard. Throw him on the trash heap with Hayward. They are in the I'm not vaccinated and I can't get out and do my job anyway. So go bye-bye.
Spicy.
And then on Sunday they beat the Marlins 2-0. Monday they lose to the Indians 4-1 or 4-0. Excuse me. So they've literally in since last Thursday they scored 2-1-2-0, and then finally in the getaway day against the Indians they put up they had a nice little explosion. Obviously 21 on Monday. We'll get into that here in a second. What happened on Monday's circuit? But regardless of what happened on Monday, whatever signal that needed to be sent was heard. It seems. And the response was a dominant 7-1 win to close out their week game with the Indians. So when the White Sox lost to the Pirates, or not, who I don't know, did they lose on Tuesday?
They lost Tuesday. They won Wednesday.
So when they lost on Tuesday to the Pirates, they didn't. The Indians lost as well. So at least there was some help there.
Yep.
The split, but obviously we have to talk about it. On the Tainted Glove with me in Aloha, Mr. Hand, I went on a little bit of a tangent. Because it happened about 10 minutes before we went live.
Well, here. Before you go off about it, tell people what happened. Set the scene.
All right. So it's the bottom of the 4th inning. There's a runner. Actually, let's go here. Bottom of the 4th inning. Chris Bryant singled to left to open the inning.
You had to sprinkle in that KB got a hit. Go ahead.
Let's set it off. So a single to left. KB leads off the inning with a single. Javi rolls over on a slider 6 inches off the plate. Rolls into a tailor-made double play, but runs hard out of the box. And Chris is fielder's choice at second, so force out at second. He's safe at first. So now there's a runner at first. Javi's at first. Anthony Rizzo at the plate. First pitch goes. Javi doesn't take a lead. He's standing on first base, not taking a lead at all, which is strange. Like he's got his hands on his hips, like he's pouting about rolling into that fielder's choice, and he's upset with himself, and so he's not mentally checked in, which he's admitted to doing multiple times in the past. This is a broken record at this point. So next pitch. Javi is still standing on first base, hands on hips. So I think 2 pitches go by. He doesn't take a lead on either one of them. Next pitch, Rizzo hits a fly ball to left field. Javi half-ass jogs, round second, head down, la, la, la. By the time he actually looks up at anybody besides his own shoelaces because he's being a little bitch, there's one out. Routine fly ball to left field, caught. They throw the ball to the shortstop or the second baseman, who's like, wait. Even the broadcaster's like, wait, what's going on here? What is he doing? He must have – I don't know what's going on. So literally the middle infielder walks the ball over to first base, flips to the first baseman, inning over, bam, done. Goes in the dugout. Again, he gives us this like shrug, like whoopsie off the field. And Dave Ross in the dugout. And we know this about Javi. He knows where every camera in the entire –
Oh, for sure.
Every camera in the stadium Javi has, I'm sure the blueprints knows exactly where they're at. So the dugout cam captures this. This is where I think Javi, this is Javi being Javi, right? This is what what some fans consider to be acceptable. Ross is explaining to him what the deal is, why he made a mistake. I want to know your reasoning. Obviously trying to give probably Javi the benefit of the doubt, unless this is, of course, par for the course, and this is just the last of the straws, which may sound a little bit more believable and palatable now. And Javi nods his head, whatever, and then Javi turns around, and this is the part this is what got me. Javi turns around and then makes the face that most freshman teenagers make when you tell them to stop screwing around in the hallway and you don't know them as your teacher, and they go, okay. And then they do this like that face when they walk away, like, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? You have to know what I'm talking about. Javi makes that face as he's walking away from David Ross and then walks down the stairs, but he does it in plain view of the camera. So that's when I lost it. That's really when I lost it. Forget how many outs that whatever, cool. David Ross sets him straight, and then he makes this like childish look going down the stairs. Ross benches him immediately in the top half of the 5th inning. There's a ground ball, a miscommunication error with I think it was Alcantara or Ortega, whoever's at second or short, makes an error because of that. Because obviously Javi, they got to get out there like last minute because he wasn't loose, because he wasn't expecting to go into the game for Javi, who had to be benched. Which is, again, people keep blaming Dave Ross. If Dave Ross, don't bench him if you don't want. No, don't be a dickhead and get benched and hurt your team first.
That's
Don't
fair.
blame the coach for holding people accountable for doing their job. And so anyway, he goes out there, makes an error. Runner gets on first. Next pitch or two, whatever, comes out. 2-run jack. It's 3-0. Obviously, the wheels come off, and it becomes a gigantic to-do. You know, there's people that are defending Javi, saying it's no big deal. Why aren't the base coaches telling a guy that has a giant scoreboard literally in his face in left field that says how many outs there are?
You're a Major League Baseball player.
Not leading off, trying to make excuses for all of this. And in the end, it's 100% Javi's fault. David Ross ate his lunch, sat him down, and that was that. Javi, after it's over, his comments were kind of like half-assed, like, well, we disagree. We don't see eye to eye on it, blah, blah, as if like he didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't really actually say my bad, but he says, I accept the punishment. I know why he punished me. Doesn't actually say it was my fault. I'm 100% to blame. No. It's the old, again, pass the buck kind of stuff, the pass the buck comments that he always gives, where they're like passive aggressively, like saying, not really admitting guilt, but admitting that you accept the punishment kind of thing. He did come out. Cubs come out the next day and they played well. Javi hit a double. It was good. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, when you get benched, that's the punishment served. You're done. Now come back the next day and play. And that's how I felt. Once they can, you turn the page on Monday after the benching, and you come back out on Tuesday and you don't make the same mistake twice. You make it again. Right. It'll be a lot longer. But there's your signal. That's the big warning. That's Javi's first. I feel like that's like the first warning Javi's ever gotten as a player with the Cubs. He's gotten away with stuff.
Right. Well, listen, man.
With the Cubs. And so now it's kind of hard, though, because this guy's been allowed to get away with things so long that when you finally do it, it's like the end of the world.
Brain farts happen.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
They happen to everybody. His was just a little bit more magnified. I agree with you. I could have done without the face after he got reprimanded for it. Like, just take it, go in the dugout, have a beer, watch the rest of the game, come out tomorrow. Or they can't have beer in the clubhouse anymore.
No, thanks to you.
Yeah, but whatever.
But I'm that's not even the missing of the outs is not what bothers me.
No.
It's previous pitches where he's not even leading off and he's pouting with his hands on his hips beforehand, telling us mentally he's more pissed off about rolling over on a bad pitch outside into a fielder's choice than he was about actually,
and it sounds like
a one-run game.
From our comments here, it sounds like David Ross agreed with you. It wasn't that play, it was the stuff leading up. Basically, he just had a shit attitude all day. And yeah.
Grow up, Javi. And again, I don't hate Javi. I've said this a million times. It's the ceiling of talent that he has, that he's wasting, that drives me batty. He has the highest ceiling of any player in that clubhouse, I think, in my opinion.
And I don't want to
he's like at 70%. He could be one of the best in the game, but he's not. And we looked over his numbers today. Remember, we were messaging. Yep. He hasn't. And I know that we're not obviously factoring in defensive metrics and ground covered and all that stuff. But with errors and chances, the routine, which is what errors are, is fielding the routine, not the exceptional. Javi Baez has a 966 fielding percentage at the position of shortstop. Now he has like a 980 at second, when he was second baseman for most of the first part of his career, till Addison Russell got, fired into the sun. Once he shifted over to the shortstop, he's got a 966 fielding percentage. This year it's 955. His fielding percentage is actually below Sean Dunstan's. And it's only 500ths above Tim Anderson across town, who has always been dogged as not being a very good defensive shortstop. Yet shortstop is not that much better at shortstop. Now, second base, look, Ryan Sandberg went a season and a half without making an error. You make 5 errors at second base, you're dog shit, as far as I'm concerned. He had a really good fielding percentage at second, which is fine. Don't excuse magical. Still not acceptable. But he grades out. Cool. Makes these really great plays and the metrics of what he covers and the ground he covers, plays that he gets to. That's I totally understand that. But on the routine, Javi is not anywhere better than he's not even the best shortstop right now. I think he rates 8th in the National League in the routine. So that's that's the thing that I have was all this El Mago and blah 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 blah. Hey, bro, you're 9th, excuse me, in the National League. You're second in the game in errors, behind only Tatis. Tatis just makes up for it a little bit more with the offensive production that you don't really get from Javi. Although Tatis hasn't been great either there, but that's the stuff with Javi when you look at it and we're talking about what the Cubs are going to do with these at the season's end. Do you keep who you want around? Do you want a guy like Javi around your young prospects? And for me, that's a hard no. That's a hard no.
Magical had exactly 5 errors when he got hurt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good. Then he's fine.
Dude, the White Sox and errors are like Moncada already has 8. Magical, Anderson, Grandal already have 5.
Javi has 13. He averages right now. He's on pace for 31 errors this season.
And Tatis, we don't even need to go. And I mean, so I mean that's perfect. We're right at the 30-minute mark. That was a perfect intro recap. Look at us staying on.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's something shiny over here. I'll be right back.
Yeah. But yeah, dude. I mean, like, I have no reason to think. This is just me thinking out loud. All right, so everybody, calm the fuck down. I'm just thinking out loud here. Do you think Javi Baez's pending contract is affecting his attitude?
No, because this is something that's been going on for years. This is every week. I know we talked about it in the pregame or preseason show this year. Javi's excuses about last year checking out because he wasn't having fun, and then the previous year where again, I checked out. I wasn't getting loose until the 4th inning. We weren't taking it serious. We weren't prepping and taking batting practice. And every year you come into spring training, and my prediction is this is totally off the side. I predict if he does return to the Cubs next spring. Next spring's excuse is going to be his thumb. He'll talk about how the thumb held him back all season this year, which it obviously hasn't. But it only hurts when he makes contact, and we know that doesn't happen very frequently. So,
because wouldn't you think a guy like that would want to be having like a career fucking year if he's in his contract year to get paid? Like, this seems like the worst time to be booting balls and having shit attitudes.
The beauty of 162 games is that baseball reveals character. It does not build it.
Right. But the same note, the beauty of 100, like a week from now, no one's even going to remember the whole Javi forgot. I mean, you will, but a lot of people won't remember Javi's attitude and forgetting. You know what I'm saying? Just
he'll make one cool tag. He's like a magician. He is a magician. He's a magician. He's the master of illusion. Look over here.
Spicy.
Look over here. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Look at the fireworks in my hand. All while it masks the problems that are actually an issue with him. People see the flash. They don't actually see the substance because when you actually dig deeper into Javi Baez as a player, he's a 95 runs created, WRC plus. He's a below average major league hitter when you look at the actual numbers, when you look at his defensive stats outside of defensive, distance metrics and range. Boom. You start seeing that Javi Baez is not only is he not elite right now, he could be if he really, really got his head into it, but it's neither here nor there. You can't make him do it. He's got to do it himself. Again, the same reason why the guy doesn't get ready and doesn't start looking good till 6-7 weeks in this season, because he's not actually putting in the time in the offseason. He's finally actually being forced to take reps in front of coaches, and now he starts figuring it out because he's getting the daily reps he's supposed to take leading into spring. He doesn't. So it's one of those things that, again, when you look at the players, you look at a guy like Rizzo, Rizzo's contract's up, KB's contract's up. You want to look at these guys and think, what is the projectability of, look at the Cubs organization. Christian Hernandez just jumped into the top 100 prospects in baseball. He's one of their 95 shortstops they have in the farm that are really talented. Between him and Ed Howard and Nico Horner, honestly, the fact that Chris can play multiple positions makes me a little bit more comfortable with him sticking around because he can actually play the outfield and first base, and maybe, that's fine. Javi can play second and play short. I mean, if Javi wanted to play the outfield, I'm sure he could, but do you think Javi's going to really do that? Because Javi's about Javi. So you've got these young guys coming up. I don't see how you can extend Javi beyond 2 years, maybe with a 3-year option, but I honestly don't see him longer in the tooth with the Cubs. Especially this stuff now, when they go to the negotiating table. Don't you think that Ross's benching is going to be one of the major parts, saying, look, I can't give you this much money because I don't trust you to be with us every single pitch. It's every pitch by pitch, inning by inning, game by game. If you can't maintain that focus, you're not a professional. He's got to be better. And that's why you look at these things. Rizzo has brain farts on the bases, gets picked off twice. Those aren't hustle mistakes. They're brain farts. But it wasn't like he wasn't hustling and he didn't big league Ross when Ross told him what was wrong. Things like that. Jock Peterson made a stupid mistake. Everyone's like, they try to forgive Javi for the mistakes when they say, well, Rizzo made a mistake. Yeah, he's made 2 mistakes in 7 years. This is not the first time Javi's done this. So it's a straw man argument to sit there and say, well, Rizzo got picked off twice and he get benched.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. Javi's been picked off a lot more.
Yeah, there's a whole history. So
it is the buildup. And so with Rossi, I'm proud of Rossi. Rossi, I thought, handled it perfectly. He didn't big leg him. He talked to him, he wasn't like a blow up in the dugout.
No, not at all.
He had his hand on his shoulder the whole time. It was a familiar kind of conversation. Nothing was blown up. If there was ever a blow up, which if I'm Ross and I saw the footage of Javi walking away from me, in the dugout, he's pushed up against the wall by his throat, probably. But that's in-house stuff that you don't see because
I
in-house.
I feel like Ross sees that and he's just like, "You're such a fucking child." Sorry for swearing, little yumper, little dude, but you're such an effing child. Like, whatever, dude. I'm done with you after this year. It's not a big deal.
Said it perfectly. He said it. Rude said it a few months ago. Javi to the Yankees. That makes sense. But guess what? They're very disciplined in New York sometimes too.
Right. Oh yeah. So we'll stop there. Want to remind everybody you could at Pinwheels Ivy Pod on Twitter. The pin tweet is how you can support the show. We also have T-shirts, all that fun stuff. Go buy a shirt, get all that stuff. So again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I threw out a bad signal asking people to send us outside the box. That's a good way to put it. Outside the box trade ideas. You know,
and in this segment, because they're outside of the box trade concepts or ideas, this segment itself has been brought to you by Rick James.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
There was, once you hear some of these trades, you're going to think some people are on some stuff. But before we get into the crazy trade stuff, we have some real stuff. Well, real, however you want to take that. But John Heyman,
Nice shot.
Tweeted out at 6:00 on Thursday night, and I quote, "The White Sox, still in first but disseminated by injuries, are looking everywhere for positional help. Eduardo Escobar, Adam Frazier, and others are among targets. Bob Nightingale mentioned Escobar, who's drawing interest from a handful of teams." Okay, so that's a big old duh. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, but it is good to hear as a White Sox fan that they're being really active. And it sounds like it. And I'm also glad that they're not just jumping on the first thing. Like, I wouldn't have been mad if they left Pittsburgh with Adam Frazier on the team playing. Like, he played 2 great games, too, against the White Sox. And the running joke on White Sox Twitter was, this is Adam Frazier's tryout. Like, you know, and he's showing up and blah, blah, blah. The other one, and before I read this, I'd like to preference it with, I don't fuck with food-based rumor accounts. Like, I think they're just all good and for fun, whatever. You know, they're not hurting anybody. But
what if one of those food trade accounts is actually in our chat right now?
That's fine. I mean,
it's Willie P. It's Willie P.
I shouldn't say I don't fuck with them. Like,
kidding.
I don't take it seriously. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like seeing Ale's Beef tweet a trade and I'm like, oh, dude, this is totally going to happen. It's like, okay, I don't mess with burner accounts in general, like not Steve Shizak. And then the other one is this MLB executive burner. It's at Hot Stove Intel. The guy's been all over the place. Like you pointed out before the show, Fidds, he had a bunch of stuff about Chris Bryant getting traded, blah, 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 which isn't going to happen. But he tweeted out on Thursday, right before the show, somebody asked him what it would take for the White Sox to get Adam Frazier. And he said, this is his hypothetical. White Sox receive Adam Frazier and Chris Stratton, and the Pirates land Raylo, Matthew Thompson, and Cabrera Weaver. And he said they might have to give a better outfield prospect than Weaver, most likely James Beard. Bruh. If that's what it took to get Adam Frazier, I'm pretty sure the White Sox would have had this done already. I mean, I do that trade yesterday. And then we got Rude, Alex, our fact checker here. 2 national reporters tweet about the Sox trades in the last few days. There's a reason. I agree.
But what reason? No, let's not also take, ignore the fact that some of these guys are also pushing other narratives. Right. Like this could literally be if the White Sox are perceived to be this team that's going after somebody, so and so. It also might be forcing someone else's hand. This could be negotiating leverage. When you leak this kind of stuff, you got to take all that with a grain of salt because it could be. Which I don't know. Escobar to me doesn't sound like a. Who's he replacing? He's not replacing Matt.
He's not replacing, but we're not looking for someone to replace. We're just looking for a starting second baseman, and he hits bombs.
Right. He also gets on base less than 3. He gets on base 29 out of 100 times.
Right, but he's a solid second baseman, and if Escobar comes on the White Sox, he's immediately the team leader in home runs.
It's true.
And
pre-war.
And he's better than Danny Mendick.
True.
Okay, so I guess this is a really good talking point, and we're going to get into the trades you submitted in just a second, but it's 2021. If you're watching the show or listening to the show, you obviously look for more than just a newspaper article these days for your baseball news and updates. You're probably on Twitter. You listen to podcasts. Schwarber just hits home runs
again tonight.
Like crazy. And the Nationals aren't going to trade him. So all the White Sox fans that are like pining for Schwarber right now, the Nationals are in it, dude. And no, bad jumper. Eric Sogard should be fired into the sun. But
he's available for every team in baseball, including the independent league.
All I ask for you guys, and just a little bit of a tip, national writer, fake food account, burner account, shit, if I tweet it, think to yourself before you start really believing it, like, who is he a mouthpiece for? Who is he connected to? What is his agenda by tweeting this? Because a lot of times, unfortunately, these guys aren't just tweeting this stuff to be like getting you the news.
I feel like Heyman's really New York.
He is, but like we all know Nightingale's relationship with Reinsdorf.
True.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you gotta, and these days, agents and players and front offices use social media. They use it's a tool for them to either move deals into their favor, get less or get more for a player, have to offer less for a player. Like, so just use your fucking head. You know what I mean? And there's also people that you start talking about trades and like sites talk about trade rumors and stuff like that. Talking about trade rumors and possible packages, to me, is one of the greatest parts about being a fan of a team, especially if you're like a very passionate fan, which everyone in this chat, everybody listening to this podcast, Cubs, Sox, whatever, you obviously care more than an average fan because you listen to podcasts, whatever. So like, talk about trades, put together trade packages in your head, discuss it. That's fun. It's not personal. Like, I tweeted something out about why do people want to trade Garrett Crochet so bad, and I was getting DMs like, "Oh, you just like him, so you're trying to protect him." No, I like that he has a 196 ERA plus as a 162 game average. Like, use
baseball metrics to determine value,
right,
and to decide if this is actually true or not. Like, I can tell you right now, there's an account. I hate to bust them out, but I'm just going to totally bust. It's called Matthew Ong. The dude tweets out source. The Cubs are in play for a potential trade. Like it's a report, right? This was like reported in a story like 2 hours beforehand. So you got someone that just says source in front of what they say, and then they parrot something they've read, or they just throw out their favorite trade ideas that they like and cite source. So not just food accounts, not Steve Shishak type accounts. We've got people that are that look like they're legitimate accounts. And they write everything perfectly, like really good AP style, sports wise.
Yeah, they're very good writers.
It's just not true. That's the credibility part is also a part of the equation.
With Charles the Cat,
sports journalist. So Charles the Cat. Maybe Dan Clark Sports. Dan Clark Sports is one of the bigger accounts.
Katy Perry's booty hole.
So like you have to. Everything's a grain of salt. You have to show actual discernment. You have to don't just retweet if it's someone that says that this is happening. Even Bob Nightingale, because we know Bob's like obviously the reverse negative, we want to call it or whatever.
Yeah.
These things happen. Like we saw in the offseason. They know how bad were national reporters. They were taking L's left and right all offseason, like the last 2 off seasons. So nobody really has it locked down because they're being played just as much as we are as fans in the social media game, burner accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Regular average baseball fan doesn't have. I don't think has an inkling of how deep this rabbit hole goes when it comes to optics and perception. There are burner accounts. There are farmed accounts. There are people that are, there are leaks that are intended to get out so that they can put pressure on somebody else. There is lowering contracts. Come on, we're talking about Major League Baseball that raises and lowers the seams based on and changes the tight wand of the ball based on what year is a contract year for hitters or pitchers.
That's wild. But hold on, Kev, to your point, I've been in this game, the whole blog podcast world, for a decade now. good, bad, and different, whatever. I've been in it for a decade now. I know firsthand, personally, that teams will threaten to pull creds if you say something.
Cubs are guilty of that big time.
Every Chicago sports team. I've never had it with the White Sox, actually, personally, but like the Blackhawks are really bad at it. But you got to remember, so this is how these national guys, this is how they eat, man. This is how they feed their kids, is writing these stories. So, like, they are somewhat incentivized by these teams, by these agents, and it's just a tweet. It's just a tweet.
Access is capital.
Access is capital.
Yep, absolutely. You lose your access. You again look at. I mean, that whole Paul Sullivan thing where the peasants are in the press box.
That guy.
Get them peasants, these tourists that are taking a tour.
Right.
5 hours before the first pitch, they're in the press box. This is a working press box. Yep. Shut up, troll. All right. No. And that's what happens. Those dudes play that line and they do what they're told. They're corporate media stooges. I'll go up and down that list. There are a few that aren't really that bad. There's a few with this, what's his name with the Sun Times? I believe it's with the Sun Times. Fantastic.
Well, this is the tough part of being a fan in 2021. You have to be able to like cipher and like filter out this stuff, because some of these guys are really, really good. And some of these guys, like Sullivan, Yumper, earmuffs on your kid. That guy can eat a bag of dicks.
He can definitely eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, what a horrible, like, elitist, weird baseball writer tweet to be like, I can't believe they let people in my sacred press box. It was like 4 hours before the game and they were on a stadium tour. It's not like it was like the top of the fifth and they were like hovering over him while he was trying to type his story before deadline.
Dorsey, by the way. Russell Dorsey.
That's
Give me Russell Dorsey all day long.
So I want to be very, very, very clear. After this whole little rant that you and I just went on, there are a lot of really, really good baseball writers, a lot of very good baseball journalists, a lot of good followers on Twitter. But some of these big national guys that everybody's always in a rush to go like retweet and take their word as gospel, there's a little bit of an agenda behind those tweets, everybody. So like,
they're salaried journalists that if they lose their access and their press credential, their salary means nothing because they can't cover the team that they're salaried to cover.
And this could be whatever, however you guys want to take this, but look for some of the newer guys. Some of the newer guys on the scene. Those are the guys that I tend to migrate towards trusting a little bit, because yes, they're trying to build their way up, but also they haven't been sucked in by the dark side. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and they're also building relationships with younger prospects in the organization because they are kind of nobodies, and they build these relationships with prospects as they come up. They will have that access because they'll have that real sense of trust with these younger players as they come up. A guy like I don't know who was what's the guy Davis Pete Evan Altman, who's I'd say my favorite Cubs writer, period. Who was it? Anyway, a relationship built in South Bend. They played for the South Bend Cubs, and dude's in the show now. It's a phone call because you're on speed dial. You build and cultivate those relationships. These corporate media types that are in the booth, that are, the ones that are like the snobbies, they're handed these interviews from the Chicago media relations teams. They don't have to earn anything. They put in a call saying, hey, blankety blank, I need to talk to, I don't know, Andrew Chafin. Right. Okay, cool. Here, I'm going to have him call you. Hey, Andrew, call blankety blank. Here's his number. Boom. That's easy. Cultivating a relationship, having someone actually give you their number themselves is a far more trusting situation, because that means that they're at their own will giving you their information to contact and communicate.
All right. This face is because I just saw he hit a nuke, dude. Oh my good.
You did him dirty, huh?
That baseball had a family, man. Oh, but yeah. So just be careful with the trade stuff. Like, you're all smart people. You're all intelligent baseball individuals. Like, you look stupid when stuff like this gets out of control. So that's my little advice to everybody during the trade deadline. Hey man, I tried, little dude.
Hey, Yumper's son, Kyle Schwarber just went number 1 on a baseball.
Yeah,
number 2 on a baseball.
Actually, both. But don't repeat what we say, kid. That's bad. All right. Oh shit! I want to talk about one more thing before we get into these trade things. Sorry, it's just going to be real quick, and it's because I know you didn't hear it.
Don't say these words that we're saying, but fuck, man.
I know you didn't hear it, Fidz, because I don't think it was on the national broadcast. Steve Stone took a little vacation, which good for Steve. Totally gets it. But they had Gordon Beckham in the booth with Jason for the Houston series, and we gave him some shit because but as the weekend went on, I liked Gordon Beckham in the booth. You could tell he got way more comfortable, but his insights, like especially to like what's going on in a hitter's mind, like as he got more comfortable, he got way better, and he wasn't bad. My final grade on Gordon Beckham was not bad, not bad at all. And a lot of that's because of who he's in. Jason Benetti is a stud. Like he's just cream of the crop when it comes to baseball, or just basically because he does everything, just announcers. And I think he could kind of sense that Gordon was like not really feeling comfortable. So he started asking him couple more personal questions and easing the tension baby. But they were getting him into it, and he ended up doing, I think, I would say slightly above average. And then they had Frank Thomas in the booth for the 2 Pittsburgh games. Big Hurt was awesome, but also Big Hurt can never do that on a net. He was rooting for the Sox, so it was like Yaz ripped a double on Wednesday, and before either of them said anything, you just heard Big Hurt go, yes! Like he was like all into it. But again, Big Hurt, really good insights into what's going on in a hitter's mind, what we as the audience should be looking for, like how a pitcher's sequence is setting things up, everything like that. And I don't know, again, Jason did a really good job of keeping him where he needed to be. And no, I thought both of them did a great job. We get Steve Stone back Friday, which is great because, me and you, I know this is a big Steve Stone fan podcast. I don't know where all those at on him, but I mean, his baseball insight is unreal.
He's not the god; he's just a god.
Yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, I remember him being like, "Well, it's a 2-1 count. Here comes a slider low and away," and he would throw it, and I would just look at my grandma and I'd be like, "How do you know?" And she's like, "Because the guy knows baseball." And like, also, Grandma Zo definitely had a big crush on Steve Stone. Yeah,
sexy pictures of Steve out there.
Oh, I know.
Get you blocked.
That curly chest hair. All right, as promised, fan submitted outside the box trade scenarios. This first one is a doozy. This one's sent to us by a good friend of the show at Sox Supporter 1. You guys might want to sit back for a little bit because this is now, again, for those of you just joining the show, me and Fidz did not make these up. These are, I would take a pull out of the pen too right now because this is going to get weird. These are fan submitted trade rumors. Ready? Here we go. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4 part trade.
He got complicated.
Yes, he did.
We're going to go complicated right out of the gate.
Right out the gate. We're getting hard.
Focus.
Thompson, Lopez, and Ryan Bird for Nelson Cruz. And then Madrigal, Dahlquist, and Micker Adolfo for Kyle Schwarber and Brad Hand. Garrett Crochet for Starling Marte. And then Dylan Cease for Chris Bryant. I mean, I asked for outside the box. I asked for wild, whatever. And I think...
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
So his reasoning for this was we get a starting outfield and a DH. Kopech pitches in Cease's spot, and Mendick replaces Madrigal. All right, so we can break this one down real quick. Thompson, Lopez, and Ryan Burr for Nelson Cruz. Don't think the Twins would do that. I don't even think this is video games. This would work. Madrigal, Dahlquist, and Micker Adolfo for Schwarber. I feel like you're overpaying for Schwarber, and I also think and Brad Hand. And I also feel that the Nationals are they're not big on trades. Um, I need my abacus to understand these trades. Yeah, I know.
Abacus and toes.
Yes.
And toes. I was where there would be math on this trade exam, but
Crochet for Starling Marte. That okay. And Cease for Chris Bryant. Get ready, Fit. It's because you're going to hear Chris Bryant like 6 more times.
Of course. Well, yeah, because
all right. So
they're selling in first place.
The next one is from Moxter3 on Twitter. Madrigal, Crochet, and a high upside A player for Ketel Marte. I feel like that's too much. Am I wrong?
Remember also the negotiating position of each. The White Sox have injuries. They have desperation. It's very obviously clear to anybody that has a pair of eyes that they are in a window.
But that's got to be too much for Ketel Marte.
It sounds like, you know what? The teams that the buy usually end up overpaying. They can't be like the Cardinals and be handed Nolan Arenado.
I know, but still, dude, that's a starting second baseman, a starting pitcher eventually, and a prospect for. I don't know, man. That's just for me. This could be Homer and me, or whatever. But what's he hitting this year? Marte, he is hitting 366, but he's only played in. He's got 134 at bats. I mean, he's having a good season. He's 27 years old. I don't know. I feel like that's
the contract situation.
The Marte trade again was Madrigal, Crochet, and a prospect for Ketel Marte. Let me see contract.
Because if he's got a couple of years in there, that actually alters how I look at that as well. But you're going to have to overpay. You have to overpay as the buyer.
I understand that, but I feel like that's too much.
It's there's separation anxiety until after 2024. I
don't even care that it's Madrigal. By the way, I don't care. I don't care that it's Madrigal.
If he's under contract until after 2024,
bro, he's under contract till 2025.
You take that. You take that.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't use caps line and say take that hashtag. Take that.
We got a couple people in the comments saying that's too heavy. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean that's like right there where I think that's too heavy. Next trade sent to us by @Drew Hoyleman, Stever, Adolfo, and Bailey for Frazier and Polanco. This is assuming small demand on Frazier, which that's not the case. MLB Network all day today literally was talking about how every team that's a contender wants Frazier.
The Pirates played that really well and actually pushed him.
Yes.
He is now the name to get right now, it feels like.
I mean,
especially now with the Nats winning again, they're winning 9 of 10. I think
if that gets it done, I make that deal 100%. And I agree with Beefloaf in the comments here. I think that's too light for those two players. I mean, if they take it, I'll
take out Polanco and throw in Shreve, and you still got a deal.
You just want Shreve in Chicago so bad.
Don't you
I was so mad when he didn't come in on Wednesday.
His numbers are better than Crochet's. I'm just saying, you can now send Crochet down to go learn how to be a starter. I don't know.
And then the next one we got from @Suited4s. He preferenced this by saying "all in" with many exclamation points.
I dig the style, bro. I dig the poker. Okay, I might need to follow.
Then we got Cease, Madrigal, and Thompson for Ketel Marte. Again, seems a little okay. And then Jared Kelly, Sheets, Cody Hugh, Dahlquist for Story and Gray from the Rockies.
He'll move over to second.
Oh, he'll totally move over to second. And I mean, that's totally a rental. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not going to pony up for Trevor Story.
Say rentals. The haul is smaller. You're not going to get a blockbuster haul. Chris Bryant's. I think Chris Bryant is going to be. We're going to have a bunch of these stuff. They're coming out in a second, but you're going to get. Trust me when I say this. The haul ask for the Cubs is so ridiculous for a rental that there's a reason why it's not going to happen. So
if they can get
rentals, really obviously appreciate the value of a trade as far as what you're going to get back in return if you're a seller.
If they can trade Kelly, Sheets, Cody, Huar, and Dahlquist and get Trevor Story and Gray in return for that, yes.
And how does that affect it? Think about the Rockies and their finances. They're already giving away Arenado, so they're probably ready to. They're trying to cut as much money as possible. Story, they can get something for at least Story. They know they ain't signing Story, so
Yep.
And everyone in Major League Baseball knows that as well, which chops out their leg when it comes to negotiation. So there's that actually balances out the White Sox and the Rockies because we know that Story's leaving. And we know the White Sox are a little bit desperate right now to get something that'll help them beat teams outside of the division.
All right. Yeah, that's right. We getting right for these trades. All right, this one, I think he's having a little fun, but we're going to read it anyways because I asked for fun and we got fun. From at White Sox Golfer, Kelly, Thompson, Rodriguez, and Bailey for Ozzy Albies and a lottery ticket.
Now we're getting creative. And 2 dozen pizza puffs.
And 2 dozen pizza puffs.
A little bit of Scala's Italian beef. What do we get?
This is hilarious. In the comments on the live show, which you should be watching on Thursday nights if you're listening to this, a good friend of our show, Beef Loaf from the 108, which you should watch and listen to them later tonight. We'll have 670 do another radio-a-thon to raise money to take on Blackman's contract. Yes. That contract is ridiculous. All right, we got to kind of hurry these up because there's a lot of them. Next one from Duke Zawiza. How about making a run at Brendan Rodgers from Colorado? Was an elite prospect and pedigree, low risk, high reward. Wouldn't have the pressure of being the guy here. A lot of veterans here to help him be just another guy with a high ceiling. I would love that. I mean, if Colorado would do that, I don't even know what he would cost because he hasn't really been the guy that they thought he was going to be. I actually fucking mashed with him in MLB The Show. So
that could cost like some lower level, like beyond,
let's look at his stats.
like, couple prospects from the 15 to like 30 threshold in your own organization. Someone deeper.
He could definitely play second base. I just want to see his
drop
stats.
A pair of those like deeper prospects for him as like a gamble, and you might be the Rockies.
So he's only 24 years old. He bats and throws righty. In 88 plate appearances this year, he's hitting 261 with 4 home runs.
Is he a guy that would benefit from a change of scenery?
Right. I'd be fine with that. I think that's not a bad call, Duke. And again, I mashed with him in MLB The Show, so that gets him a plus point in this thing. At Charlie Rivera 81. Oh
hey,
boy.
Charlie.
No, this one is we got Kopech, Madrigal, Mancada for Contreras, Bryant, and Kimbrel. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. That was a goofy one. Basically, line change between the north and the south side. I was very surprised, by the way, on how many people wanted to trade with the Cubs. Like, there was a lot of people that wanted to trade with the Cubs here.
Well, yeah.
The next one, there was a couple of them like this. Sell your entire farm system for Ohtani and let's go win this whole motherfucking thing. Okay.
Full Mike Ditka Saints draft apparently for Ricky Williams. All right.
We've definitely kind of gotten to the Looney Tunes version here. Schwarber and Trey Turner for Madrigal, Kelly, Dahlquist, and any other prospect that they want, including Crochet. I mean, that'd be sick, but no way that happens. Trey Turner's way better than Madrigal.
Yeah, I always get hung up on that. And any other prospects that they say, well, yeah, you want Cespedes?
Right.
Relax.
Here's another Cubs one. Baez, Chris Bryant, and Kimbrel for Crochet, Dahlquist, and Micker Adolfo. If the Cubs do that, yeah. Alex in the comments says, dealing with Fidds while Chris is on the Sox is a deal breaker for me. Here's a very creative one. Eloy, Kopech, Berger, and Cespedes for Bryce Harper. Good Lord.
God, the Bryce Harper, like the overpay. It's like overpaying for Javi. Stop. Bryce Harper equals Javi. I mean, better than Javi, but equals a dude that's a lot of flash, a lot of panache, but does he win?
And then this is probably my favorite one. Jake Lamb from Mike Trout, straight up, everybody wins.
Yep, that's true.
That's legit. That's legit.
I would not MLB The Show at all.
The next one, the entire farm for Ohtani and Trout.
Here
you go. Here's another Chris Bryant one. Garrett Crochet, Jared Kelly, Dahlquist, and Jose Rodriguez for Chris Bryant and Craig Kimbrell. That one's actually not terrible.
That actually isn't terrible, actually.
That one's not bad. That's from
for a half a season
Kurt
rental?
of
Hey, because both of those guys are rentals.
Mhm.
I think there's Kimbrel has a player option. Is it a player option, I think?
Yeah.
Or a player and team option, whatever that is. But so, I don't know. I mean, you want to pay that much? Again, if the Cubs, I'll tell you this, for a half a season, because I can't guarantee he's not going to come back and sign with the Cubs anyway. I'm going to give the Cubs Crochet and take Chris for a couple months.
All right. Now this one
I probably wouldn't shed a tear.
This one is interesting. I don't know if he wants me to say his name because he DM'd it to me, so I just won't say who it's from. But he started out by saying, "Don't hate me," which if you're going to deal Madrigal, you don't have to preference it. It's fine, guys. Like I said, these guys I know, but in reality, these guys aren't your friends. Like, it's a business. You know what I mean? If they get traded, they get traded. What?
I like to believe myself really good friends with Andrew Chafin. So
okay. So don't hate me, but Crochet, Madrigal, and Micker Adolfo. That's a pretty good package. For Ketel Marte, David Peralta, and Joakim Soria. So we get the Mexicutioner back. That's an interesting one, I think.
That's a pretty interesting one, yeah.
Again, to repeat that one, it's Crochet, Madrigal, and Adolfo for Ketel Marte, David Peralta, and Joakim Soria. It's interesting.
I've seen Soria tossed into throw-ins there lately.
Yeah, I mean, you get the Mexicutioner back, which he's actually been having a pretty good season. A lot of people wanted David Peralta on the White Sox just because they feel like he's a fit. And then we've already talked about Ketel Marte. I don't know. Like I said, I thought that one was kind of interesting. I know he's listening right now because he's in the comments, but I'm not going to say who this one's from. It says, Jerry has money. Screw him. Dylan Cease or Dallas Keuchel, Adam Eaton, and assorted minor leaguers for Bryce Harper, and we'll eat some of the contract. If the Cubs fall off, wait for them out of a deal. Wait them out for a deal on Jake Arrieta, cash, and a bunch of vaccine. And then put Arrieta in the bullpen.
Really way out in the bullpen, too. Like the trash can.
And like Charlotte's bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe actually position him as close to the other team's bullpen as you can. He's the never mind. I got nothing.
It was not Mr. Hand. That's the one clue here. This one's more funny. He sent this one as a joke. Yep, it was Mailman Jack. All right, he owned it in the comments, so I'll say it. Yes, that was Mailman Jack. This one was sent as a joke, but I'm going to read it because it's funny. And then he sent a real trade. So this is from our buddy Yumper. Garrett Crochet and 2 mid prospects for Javi Baez. I mean, Cubs fans are going to take that
all day long.
All day long. But then the real trade, though, Sox get Ian Kennedy. Rangers get 2 mid prospects. The White Sox get Marcus Siemens.
I'm not going to correct you at all. I'm just going to let you. I'm actually you try.
And then Toronto gets one of our top 30 prospects, and then 1 or 2 mid level. I mean, I don't think Toronto's looking to deal him, but Ian Kennedy. I know Yumper, you've wanted Ian Kennedy for a long time. I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, Texas is going down pretty bad. Can you hear me all right, Fidds?
Yep.
All right. You got really blurry and like.
Oh, I just banged my camera.
Yeah, it's all trippy and everything. Yeah, Ian Kennedy. I'm all for the Ian Kennedy part of that deal. I don't think Toronto is really looking to move Marcus anytime soon, but let's look at what kind of season I'm pretty sure let's see what Ian Kennedy's doing here. On the season, 2.59 ERA in 24 games, 12 save. He's got a 1.11 whip. I'd take that in the bullpen all day. Yeah, your camera's slowly coming back to life, Fidds.
Yeah, I think my Adobe's auto updating right now. Nope.
That's fun.
Quit.
But Ian Kennedy on the White Sox, I'm in. I don't know. What else do we got? This one was preferenced by you fucking asked for it, meaning the crazy trades. So Giolito, Vaughn, and Kelly for Jesus, Luzardo, Ramon, Laureano, and 2 lambskin condoms.
Like from lamb?
No, you ever see those in the gas station? Like they're made out of lambskin?
Oh no, if it's just regular lambskin, if they were like
Yeah.
actually like lamb skin,
Mhm.
so from his flesh into.
Yep. And then somebody hit me with a Aloy for Chris Bryant. We're not gonna get into that. Not gonna.
I the hobby throw out. I think of some of those moves. Like again, you don't want to trade a guy like Crochet unless you're going to get someone that's going to be around a while. I'm not trying to sell you guys on this or anything, but I do think that Hobby would be pretty inclined to sign in Chicago for the right price. I think that it is something he's built here, but between the two of them, I think that if Javi was traded to the Sox, he'd have a better chance of signing with the White Sox than Chris Bryant would if he were traded to the White Sox. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it would.
More likely, even though it's less likely between either.
Holy shit, dude. Kyle Schwarber just hit another home run.
Jeez. Excuse me, I'm gonna go drown myself in the tub. Thank you. I'll be back.
Holy shite, man. That is crazy. But
we got Jock Peterson. Cubs got Jock Peterson. It's fine.
oh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't complain. I mean, Jock's been fine.
I know. When you let a guy walk, you DFA a guy, and he goes out and hits 20 some odd homers, and that hurts a little bit. Because there's no comp. There's no comp. They don't get a comp for that one. Yeah. They DFA'd him as opposed to.
Hold on, let's.
They didn't get anything for him.
Let me make sure.
Rizzo and Javi and Chris, if they were to walk.
Making sure there aren't any more. But I appreciate all of you. Like, if I ask for stuff like that, I appreciate you that participate in it. Yeah, but I mean, realistically, like, if I'm going to be going to GM mode here, like, I would love an Ian Kennedy. I think that's a great move. I saw a friend of the show, Mr. Han, your co-host on The Taint.
Tainted Glove, yeah, close. The Taint is a totally different podcast.
The Taint.
That's more of a personal narrative show.
Joey Gallo. What do you think it would take to get Joey Gallo out of Texas? Maybe a Joey Gallo, Ian Kennedy.
I get the feeling that Texas doesn't value Joey Gallo as much as a lot of people do. So I don't think it's going to cost as much people think it will. Because he does. I mean, you're getting a fantastic, and Pete actually, Aloha said it, fantastic glove. You're going to get a Gold Glove caliber outfielder.
People don't talk about that enough with Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
He's a Gold Glove outfielder. He's more than just a guy that hits absolute nukes. He's a Gold Glove outfielder with a fucking hose. And he's got a good arm.
A couple of decent teenagers sounds good. That sounds right to me. Where is Texas at in their reimagining, right? So you look at where they're at, and you think of the prospects that might be something that is beneficial to them when their window is projected to open too. So that's another thing you got to fit in. Playing a little bit of Tetris or Jenga, trying to fit prospects and their expected date with the windows of each franchise as their plans.
And the other thing is, there's only one guy in the league that's taking more walks than Yasmani Grandal right now. It's Joey Gallo.
Yep.
He's got an OPS of 787 and OBP of 387. He's only hitting 217 with 13 homers, which is not it. But you add him to the White Sox, now you're good in right field. You can keep Vaughn in left field and put Aloy at DH, which should be the move anyways. He's got an absolute cannon out there in right field. And that's the lefty bat you've been looking for too, like the big lefty bat. And we all know he hits tanks. So I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind Joey Gallo whatsoever. And and even better if they can do a Gallo, Ian Kennedy like package deal and it's all about prospects. Let's go. Texas blows. All right, let's just put that out there. Where are they at?
Texas, Arlington, though. Arlington.
No.
You mean
They're 27-48. They got a winning percentage of 360. They're 17 games behind Houston. Why not, dude? You know what I mean? Like, let's go. Put it together. Let's get it done. I don't see any of these national guys really talking about a Texas deal right now, which is always a good sign to me. But yeah, I mean, Texas is absolute cheeks right now. So get aggressive with them. I think that's where you're going to find a deal. With Frazier being the hot topic, can the White Sox get Reynolds for cheaper? Possibly. I mean, it's a good thought. Reynolds and Crick. I don't know who Crick is. I'm not hip on pirate nicknames. Reynolds and Crick for Crochet, Ramos, Gonzalez, Sanchez, and Gladney.
Well, his last name is Crick, by the way. It's his Christian name.
That sounds like a nickname for sure. Reynolds has 5 years of control. Our fact checker, Alex, he wants Reynolds on this team bad because of the 5 years of control. We went over this last week. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying no. I'm just make sure you don't overpay for it.
Crick's a question mark because he's a guy that may be figuring it out this year. But I mean, the guy had a 1.9 whip last year, a 1.5 whip. He had a good year in 2018, and then he had 2 down years. I'm not sure if he was healthy or not, but he's been really good this year at a 0.983 whip.
Alex, you don't need to do your whole Reynolds thing again in the comments. We know he's good. Yes, he's good. He's a top 10 player in the league in both B-WAR and F-WAR. He's very good with 5 years of control. I would love him on this team. He's one of the few guys, and this is because Alex convinced me last week that I would trade Crochet for.
Which is funny because he's probably the one guy that the Pirates expect to build around as they load up on all these short-term prospects. Because that's what they've done. Their whole offseason consisted of them throwing a bunch of minor league deals out there and hoping to pan out. And guys like Shreve, even Tyler Anderson to an extent, some of these guys have actually performed really well. Crick. And so these guys are actual, like they loaded up to say, hey, we're going to hopefully one of these or two of these guys pan out. We can trade them and flip them for something at the deadline. This is what they're looking for. So I think Reynolds is one of the few players, if not the only player on that roster that you look at and they're like, no, not him. We need him here in 5 years because what we're going to get in this offseason, 5 years is good time. But if you want to come after these guys, you can give us some mid-level prospects so that we can flood our farm system with as many possibilities as possible. So if one or two pan out, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but more needles.
So I'm not a big advocate for trading Garrett Crochet. I do agree that he is a very big trade. He might be the White Sox biggest trade chip, like as far as guys that you would trade are concerned. Reynolds and Marte are definitely two guys that I would trade Garrett Crochet for.
I just got one on a Cubs side, Ian Happ for Starlin Marte.
I mean, I don't think
be under.
I don't think the Marlins would do that, would they?
No. Javi would probably retire down there.
Yeah, and Starlin's made it pretty clear he has no interest in leaving Miami.
So that makes it harder. That makes him a much more expensive purchase.
Right.
And the CBA. Another thing is the CBA. Aloha says it right. CBA is coming up too. So you've got a lot of these players. You kind of want these players. I'm not sure, like which players what kind of contracts do the owners want? Like, are they coveting and wanting to keep the grandfather in these old contracts, or are they looking forward to maybe these new types of contracts under the new CBA, if there even is?
I know you just joined up here, but we talked about John Gray a little bit earlier in the show. I know Marte is a 6 months rental, but again, he don't want to leave Florida, and I don't know. Well, let's dive into this for a second. Garrett Crochet, to trade him or not to trade him, seems to be a pretty big debate on White Sox Twitter right now. I mean, he's a very young lefty who they drafted very high. He's pitching very well, except for his one outing against the Pirates, and he had one other shit outing earlier this year. The plan, I would think, for him eventually is to be a starting pitcher on this team. That's why you drafted him so high. And keep in mind that Lance Lynn and Carlos Rodon are going to be hard as fuck to re-sign. And I know the fallback on that right away is we got Kopech. Understand, but you're going to need another one. And I firmly believe Rick's plan is Kopech and Crochet as starters.
Crochet too, man. You don't flip him unless it's for a sure thing.
Right.
Established and exactly what you as a trader, as the buyer, expects. So if Crochet isn't that, then pull him off the table. But if you could actually get someone that's willing to give you someone that you know is a sure thing, there are some sure things where you know they're going to most likely produce. You go for it, but you don't waste. The ceiling for Crochet is just too high.
Yeah, I really think so.
Like a rental.
And I'm glad you made it sound like you were just kidding, because someone said he's injury prone. The entire Major League Baseball is injury prone right now.
Yeah. Everybody.
But I mean, like, if you look at his 162 game average, his ERA plus is 196. You're an average player if it's 100. I don't know. Like, I'm in no rush to trade him, but again, if you can get like a Reynolds or a Kettle Marte or something like that, okay, I'm pulling the trigger. But like, if you're using that to just make a deal, especially if you trade him for a rental, I will riot. I will.
Those are all no-goes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the thing. You're giving up way too much, man. You don't give up a guy you drafted less than 2 years ago. That quick with the ceiling that he has. It's been 2 years now. Has it been drafted 2 springs? No, Vaughn was 2 years ago.
No, he was the first round in the 2020 MLB June amateur draft.
He's even been in the organization, but you haven't seen even remotely what the dude can do, and especially fans. So
right, and he's not a free agent
until unless it's for a sure thing.
And he's not a free agent until 2027.
You want Trey Turner with a sign and trade where you have a Turner locked in for, or not Turner, in Colorado, Trevor Story, right? Mm-hmm. And Story it's also with a contract extension that's going to keep him with the White Sox for the remainder of his career. Okay, I would trade a Crochet for that, but
right,
nothing, no crapshoots. If it's traded for a crapshoot, it's fail. Period.
But I do want to make it clear, in no way, shape, or form do I think he is untouchable. He's not like a Luis Robert or or Eloy. He's not untouchable, but he can only be touched if the price is right.
They must pay the troll toll to get into that voice hole.
That's super weird that we both thought of the exact same thing at the same time. But yeah, I mean, for me, bullpen help is needed, but I don't think that's the top need. I think you need bats. And ideally, as we keep going right now, I mean, it could be the herb, it could be the boo, but like, I'm starting to get more and more sold on a Joey Gallo, Ian Kennedy package deal. That would be.
So you're saying to get Han to relent a little bit, we've just got to get Han a couple of whiskeys.
Well, he's a big 90s.
This is how we're going to negotiate now.
We'll just throw on some 90s hip hop, big 90s hip hop guy, and we'll talk trades. And
is that Spider Tack? No. That's some Ghost Train Haze. That's different. It goes in your dabber.
Yep, that's a dabber. But yeah, I really like the idea of an Ian Kennedy, Joey Gallo package, because I think it wouldn't be that expensive. Look, guys, Kettle Marte would be fucking awesome. Reynolds, Frazier, both awesome. Fucking Escobar from the Diamondbacks. I think he fits for 2-3 months. And then after that, he becomes a good guy to have on the bench. But like, I don't know, dude. What's the 2021 equivalent of Jeff Blum? Oh, man.
I prefer the 2021 equivalent to Jeff Goldblum. But
Ooh.
okay.
Is there any
Sorry.
specific guys that you're targeting as a Cubs fan?
I mean, I'm biased. I mean, the Cubs bullpen's back been pretty stinking good. Nico Horner's coming back. He's pretty close to a rehab assignment. I'm going to keep my eye on that because if we've talked about it on the show, and I know Alex and I've talked about this too. The idea of him, the service time stuff that I've been really concerned with. If he's sent down on a rehab assignment, that clock doesn't start. Right. If he is optioned down, which Nico has options, that clock starts again. So, and there's some, procedural things that go along with choosing the option instead of rehab, blah, blah, blah. If they do that, obviously that'll make me very happy. I'll shut up about service time with Nico the minute they rehab assignment. Mm-hmm. But if they option him, we got issues. But he's coming back. Matt Duffy's coming back. Look, honestly, there are some additions by subtraction here. Throwing out Eric Sogard and his 160 average. If there was a way to get rid of Jason Hayward and his 160 average and that $27 million a year he's getting this year,
yeah,
do you take it? But there's some holes in that lineup that are a direct result of losing guys like Horner and Duffy going out, not having that nice rotation that helped also Patrick Wisdom. But also the Cubs, KB is in a June. KB's June is historically his worst month. He's a 250 hitter in the month of June. This isn't anything new.
That's weird.
He hits his wait till his August comes when he hits 315 over the course of his career. Everyone will be just fine then. He also hits like 275, 280 in the month of July. So he's in a June swoon. Javi, not much has changed with Javi. He's still getting one hit after every 4 plate appearances or whatever, and walking into mistakes and rolling over and doing what Javi does, which is inconsistent, but you'll take it, on occasion. Rizzo seems like he goes back and forth. Jock is a hit or miss guy. So he's hot and then he's cold. He's hot and he's cold. That doesn't translate well to sustained success. It does for hot streaks if he's hot at the time. And the thing that helped the Cubs out too is there were a lot of guys hot at the same time. So that's where the Cubs are kind of looking. So do they need another bat? I think that with Nico coming back, I think you can solidify your Eden field. Chris can rove around a lot, but if you were to be able to, if you could grab somebody, in my opinion, the Cubs need another outfield bat. So there are ways around this too, but it almost would be required like doing a 2-for-1. Like I just don't know how the Cubs, because he has no trade clause. I don't know what the Cubs can ever do with Jason Hayward. Like he's not going to take a pay cut. He's not going to renegotiate. He's not going to waive his no trade clause. He's going to do what's best for Jason Hayward, which is go out there and do nothing and get paid to do nothing.
Don't blame him.
It's fine. Great. Good for you. You gave a speech. High five. Cool. I don't care.
Don't blame him.
At this point, but you don't blame him because he's taking, he's doing his thing. But if you sit him in the corner of the dugout and say you're not going to play, you're just going to sit and just cool. Eventually, pride might take over. I don't know. And he would say, you know what? I want to go play every day somewhere. Send me here. Work with him on that. I think the Cubs possibly could do that. Is find a place, eat some of his salary. But I feel like they're stuck with him. That's one roster spot that they can't even try somebody new with without losing somebody else that actually is still worth their weight. Same with Sogard. They're both two spots that are just like basically taking chances from other dudes. There are some guys at the lower levels that might be able to get a shot at it. I'd like to see Miguel Amaya get like a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. But it depends. And so really, if you're looking for some trades, the Cubs need a bat. They need another consistent contact bat, though. Not another power guy, but somebody that's going to set tables. When the Cubs had their best lineup going, it was Horner who sets the table. You had Duffy who was setting the table. You had guys in the lineup that were peppering in behind the guys that are the 3 outcomes. And they've lost that. And I think the White Sox have lost that to a degree as well without Magical and losing Robert, too. You're losing some guys that are less than 3 out, a little bit more than 3 outcome. And you have those guys in your lineup, but it makes it difficult to keep an inning going unless someone hits a long ball because these guys are strike out or they're roll over because they're not adapting to swing. They're the 3 outcomes. So I don't know. I think I think a contact bat is the best thing the Cubs could probably acquire. Obviously, pitching would be great. I'll take Chasen Shreve from the Pirates, please. I'd love it. My head would melt, but he's been really good. So, I mean, who doesn't want a lefty reliever that's got a 1.77 ERA and is sub-1 whip and has more than strike out an inning and has actually been better since the sticky tack stuff has been enforced. His splitter's actually lost spin, which is a good thing for a splitter. So, tell that for a second.
So, I mean, the deadline's at the end of July. We got about a month left of this, but should be pretty interesting. mean, Rick's gonna make a move. I really feel like he's gonna do it on the south side. You kind of have to. You know what I mean? Like
It's not just about making a move; it's about making the move, the correct move.
correct
Not
move.
because just not a move to make a move. Don't pull a Theo for Kentucky.
No. They're very much in a go for it. I mean, you can't convince me. My dog's even fired up about it. Yeah, shit, we're already at an hour and a half. You got anything you want to finish up with?
Only that Juliana Zobrist should be ashamed of herself,
Yeah,
and her
that's
pastor
dog
should
shit.
be ashamed of himself. And that is the most heartbreaking news all week. The Cubs could have lost 6 in a row, and I wouldn't have been as sad as I was reading about allegedly what went on. As if you guys don't know the whole story, Juliana Zobrist in a lawsuit filed in Tennessee where they're getting divorced. Former Cubs center, second baseman, all-purpose, veteran leader, world champion. Ben Zobrist, his file for divorce as part of the paperwork he filed had accusations and proof that like literally burner phones that his wife and their pastor of almost 20 years were doing the nasty together behind his back, all while this pastor was counseling Zobrist for their marriage, for anxiety, for depression, for all these different things that he was seeking help and counsel for. This guy was turning around and having an extramarital affair with Zobrist's wife, which he took 2009 while he was away from the game to get things fixed in 2019. She was hooking up with this man, according to this lawsuit. And it's just to me, I know a lot of people. He had a soul patch. He's definitely a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that have known that know him from his time at Olivet, that know him through the church circuit, through Judson too. She sang at Judson a bunch of times where I went to college, apparently.
Sorry.
And right. And so all of this is just to me, it breaks my heart because I have nothing but respect for Ben Zobrist. He's a good man. He's a good father. He's a good, he's a person that put his faith into a man and his wife too, put his faith in humans, in people that completely betrayed everything that guy wholeheartedly believes in and has faith in. And I hate the fact that his faith in love could be shaken, but really, man, his faith in what gives you faith, his faith in his faith really has to be shaken. And when you do something that really destroys someone's faith in their faith, you are extra despicable to me. And so my heart goes out to Ben Zobrist. We need to get him on The Bachelor so he can go find himself a really good psycho. No, but again, check her Instagram. It's great. It's woe is me. I'm a victim. I'm strong, but I'm a victim. She should be ashamed of herself. The pastor also is accused of embezzling up to something like $6 million is something.
He's a real classy guy.
To help Major League Baseball players with mental, or professional baseball athletes with mental illness, stuff like that. So it's just so despicable across the board. So you get that bigger picture and you realize why, Ben Zobrist did what he did, why he took that time over. And I would take Ben Zobrist right now over Sogard in a second. But I just, again, my heart goes out. The dude's a good guy. Chris had nothing but good things to say about him. When the people that are around him adore the man, and he's just that guy. He spent most of the Cubs 2016 parades plugging his wife's awful music. His walk-up music was her singing "Benny and the Jets," which every Cub fan would tell you that it's honestly, you'd rather have chalkboard fingernails on a Nine Inch Nails song. It's terrible. And again, her total blatant roots. Like, hey, maybe dye it all the way down to the bottom because we can see you're a brunette, babe. So it's just it's rough to see, and so you hate to see it. I hope everybody that gets what they have coming to them gets what they have coming to them.
They will.
It's it just sucks because my dad's a pastor, and I hate seeing guys sully the good name of people that really are good pastors. Yep. There's some grifters out there. There's some snake oil salesmen.
There's in anything.
It's disappointing. So that's my little that's what I really hate about that whole circumstance. Is he deserves better.
Just remember what we talked about with regards to trade rumors and stuff like that here in 2021. And yeah, man, everybody be excellent to each other. Again, I'll tweet out the link. Go get your Summer of 54 shirt and make sure you get the beer from Haymarket. And all right, everybody, we'll see you guys next week. That's Fidds. I'm Zo. Take care.
Take it easy, guys.
Oh, I forgot I got to end the broadcast.